Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I am Travers Mackel. Tonight, we have one of the runoff elections in the city of New Orleans, the race for City Council District A. The two front runners ended up in the runoff as most voters assumed, and they are both here tonight. They are Holly Friedman, a Democrat, and Amy McCarron, a Democrat. Ladies, thank you all for being here. We have a lot to get to. District A, obviously a big district that covers Lakeview, parts of Uptown, Gerttown, Holly Grove. So we have a lot of questions. We're going to start with letting you all make an opening statement. We're going to go alphabetically. So, Ms. Friedman, you have 30 seconds to start us off with an opening statement.
All right. Well, good evening. I'm Holly Friedman, and I'm running for City Council District A. I want to thank every one of the District A voters who supported and voted for me in the primary election. I won 74% of the precincts in every single ward. I bring real experience to this race. 4 years working for Councilmember Giarrusso and 10 years in the criminal justice system. I'm also getting my master's in public policy from Tulane University. I'm a problem solver, and I'm ready to deliver results for District A on day one. Thank you.
All right, Ms. McCarron, you have 30 seconds to let voters know why you feel you're the best candidate.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Amy McCarron. I'm running for City Council District A because, like you, I love our city. I was born here, raised here, and my husband and I are raising our 6-year-old twins here. I'm going to be a 24/7 council member in every single neighborhood of the district, not just special interest and not just a select few, every single one. And as Council Member J.P. Morrell said when he endorsed me, this council needs a budget expert to help us navigate through this hard time. And that person is me. And I appreciate all the support from my voters and look forward to talking to you here. Thank you.
All right. This next question, 60 seconds. We're going to start this one with you, and then you'll have the same question. Okay. Ms. Friedman, the budget is a big talker for the city council and the city right now. Depending on who you talk to, a $100 to a $160 million deficit. One of you two will have to deal with this front and center. In 60 seconds, what is your plan to address the budget crisis at City Hall?
Yes. So look, we've seen in the last few weeks that we have potentially a $160 million deficit. And what I want to talk about is what solutions we're going to have, because I think the current council has gone through and talked about how we got to this point. But I want to talk about a few things. So this shows us that we need to strengthen the power of the council to provide more control over the budget, force transparency by better reporting, because we've seen in the past that we haven't had correct reports, so we need real-time reporting. The other thing is we need to take a hard look at the basic functions of government and what is essential for restructuring city services that reflect that. And part of that includes stopping our reliance on outside contractors for basic things like fixing our streetlights. The other thing that we've got to streamline and maximize the way our revenue is collected. We need to use better technology for this. We need to enforce our fees and fines and make sure we're collecting them. I'm the only candidate in this race that knows how to do this, not just because I know the budget and worked with it, but because I have a financial planning background, and that's what I'm going to bring to this race.
All right, Ms. Friedman, same question in 60 seconds. What would your plan be to address the budget crisis if you are elected to the council?
Okay. So I want to be clear about this. This is not the time for more taxes or fewer essential services. In New Orleans, we're already feeling the strain of not getting our basic city services and yet paying high property taxes. So I really think the real solution is focusing on technology and data to get this through. We do not need to spend a lot of money to make all the departments have public dashboards. We need to be able to have all departments be transparent so they are accountable for you. New Orleans needs to have a fundamental reset on how we manage all of our finances. City departments need to be evaluated based on their growth and their performance. And over the past 5 years, can technology be used to streamline these purposes? We can't be afraid of using AI. We cannot be afraid of using technology and data. So I've already written a policy paper on how to make New Orleans into a transparent, smart city. I think it doesn't cost a lot of money. And so I think that's my next steps.
All right, let's start off this question with you. Quality of life. When you talk to a lot of people that do surveys like Ed Shervanek at UNO, it is the #1 issue. In 60 seconds, Ms. Friedman, whether it be potholes or streetlights, what is your plan to let people have a better quality of life in District A? We'll start with you.
Okay, great. So I worked for Councilmember Giarrusso as his constituent services director for 4 years. That's exactly what I did. I brought quality of life services to the people of District A. Whether it was having your street light turned on, when trash wasn't being collected, when your streets would flood. I took that experience, though, when I left and go into the DA's office to also give a better quality of life to the residents of New Orleans overall. I was a person who cleaned up London Lodge and had them demolish London Lodge. When people complain about blight in their neighborhoods, we got the first ever criminal blight indictment in New Orleans. And now we're trying to clean up those neighborhoods and help. So those quality of life issues, so important for the neighborhoods. And the one thing that I have done in every job, I'm in boots on the ground in your neighborhood. I don't think you can write good policy sitting behind a desk at City Hall. You have got to be part of the neighborhood. You have got to be speaking to the people, finding out what they need, not what you think they need. And you need to bring that back to City Hall, and you need to write excellent policy for the people.
All right, same question, Ms. McCarran. In 60 seconds, what would be your plan or vision for quality of life for people in District A?
Yeah, so Travers, I'm going to take it back to what I was saying earlier about our basic services. These basic services are not being met, and we are spending an extreme amount of money on stuff like having an outside contractor to fix our streetlights. And because City Hall isn't working right, because we don't have a procurement process and a contracting process, we don't even have a contract to fix these things. And this is what I'm hearing when I go knock on doors in every single neighborhood. Everybody wants a better quality of life. We have to get the basics right. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to check and see and look at every single department, look at their budget and see how we can streamline things and how we can make things better. We can build a workforce, a city workforce, a small one, just for our electricians. We can work with our union partners on figuring out how we can have apprenticeship programs to make sure that we are hiring the right staff, that when you actually call 311, that somebody comes out immediately, just like Jefferson Parish and across our state. These are the types of things that we need to get right, and we need to show the citizens of the city that we can manage the basics before we can do anything else.
Here's a question we got from a lot of voters on election night. 60 seconds, we'll start with you, Ms. McCarran. How do you differentiate yourself from your opponent, because your platforms are very similar? In 60 seconds.
Thank you. Yes. So this has been obviously a struggle for both of us to figure out, because we both work for Councilmember Giarrusso. We both answer the phones. We both were out in the neighborhoods. We both had the responsibility of talking to residents of the district. I think the biggest difference here, Travers, is that I was his full-time policy and budget director. And this is the most important committee that the council has. It's the most important tool that we have, is the budget. And I know that we are in a budget crisis, but that is exactly why we need a person that can manage our way through this. We don't hire an electrician to come fix our plumbing. We hire an expert, a financial expert, to come help us fix this financial thing. And so that is what I am bringing to the table. I am bringing that tenacity. I will work tirelessly with our current council to figure out how we move us forward and get the basics right.
Ms. Friedman, same question to you in 60 seconds. How do you differentiate yourself from your opponents?
All right, so I agree with Amy. We both worked for Councilmember Giarrusso, both very proud of that experience. But I think that's where it really, the similarities end. I know it's going to be hard for everybody to believe out there, but I am older than Ms. McCarran. So that just means I have more experience. I have worked under the District Attorney Harry Connick. I have worked under District Attorney Eddie Jordan. I have worked for Judge Kiva Landrum. I then was able, very nicely, to be able to take some time off and raise my children, whereas president of their Parent Teachers Association at their school. Then I went back to work when Councilmember Giarrusso asked me to go work for him. And I enjoyed a great 4 years there, helping residents, helping Councilmember Giarrusso with quality of life issues there. And then I was able to now work at the District Attorney's Office under Jason Williams. So I have 14 years of experience doing this, and then got to see my family grow, and now they're at college. So I think there's lots of differences.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to do something interesting. We don't usually do this a lot in the hot seat, but we are going to let you all ask each other a question. So we're going to go alphabetically again. We'll start with you. Ms. Friedman, you have 20 seconds to ask your opponent a question.
Okay. So being a council member isn't about titles and budget. It's about helping people. That's what I think it is. Can you name examples of when you've actually helped a District A resident while working for Councilmember Giarrusso during your brief 3 years as a public servant?
Yes, I can. So I can point to a couple different things. So when most recently, before I left Councilmember Giarrusso's office, I helped Patrick Brennan, who was struggling to open up his new coffee shop on Jefferson and Magazine, helped him remove the trash that was in front of it, and helped him with his permit issue. So that's number one. Number two, I've helped numerous people with their 311 request making sure that it gets to the right person, and then making sure that the right department knew what was going on. The other thing is I've been on the ground making sure that everybody I talk to knows how to reach us and knows how to make sure that they can call a 311 and move forward. And that's how I've been helping people. The other thing is I know where everything is in the budget in order to manage how we actually help these people. When people had a budget question, they didn't call constituent services, they called me. They called our office to move things forward. And so that's the difference between me and Holly on what we did in our office and how I've helped people.
All right, well, you get to ask Ms. Friedman a question. So in about 20 seconds, you'll have 60 seconds to answer. What is your question for your opponent, Ms. McCarron?
Okay, Holly, what kind of experience do you have managing a major $1.8 billion budget outside of your home in order to help navigate us through this crisis?
Well, I love that you think my home budget is $1.8 billion, but
Well, you know, it's not.
exactly. No, look, as when we worked at Councilman DeRusa's office, just like Amy was saying, she worked in constituent services. We all helped with the budget. We were all familiar with it. I mainly worked on parts that were Department of Public Works and Sewage and Water Board, because that's mainly what I did when I worked with First Constituent Services for Councilmember DeRusso. But working at Jason Williams' office now, we started a new program on how to get rid of violent crime. We had two programs. I'm going to say OSINT, it's Open Source Intelligence, and No Dice. And these are directed programs to help with the violent crime problem. City Council did not want to have money to put in those budgets. I had to go to the state, find money to manage this budget. So not only did I manage that budget, we built a team. We're using that. We're working with NOPD. We're lowering violent crime levels, and that budget is balanced.
On a side note, I would love my personal home budget to be $1.8 billion.
Exactly, right?
That would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, let me ask you this. We'll start this question with you, Ms. Friedman. It seems to be a lack of coordination all over District A, from Carrollton to the Black Pearl to Lakeview on a lot of construction. What will you do if you're elected in 60 seconds to make sure that when you do these construction projects, they don't seem to overlap and lead to traffic nightmares?
Sure. So one of the things I did when I did work for Councilmember DeRusso, I organized, created, and attended weekly meetings to get these abandoned projects back on track. And so what that meant is I called residents, the contractor, Sewage and Water Board, Department of Public Works, and a liaison from the mayor's office. And we would all meet 7:30 in the morning before everybody's workday, before the construction project started. And we would meet weekly and talk about what are the next steps? What are you planning on to do this week? That transparency led to accountability. And what that did is allowed residents to have their voices being heard directly to the contractor or directly to Department of Public Works, directly to Sewage and Water Board. And it didn't allow for finger pointing. If we were all there talking about the same projects, we were able to get on the same page and work together and collaborate and coordinate and make this work forward. So not only have I done that, I plan on bringing that back to council when I'm elected as your next council member, and I will be doing that personally myself.
All right, same question to you. A lot of construction all over District A. Some people feel like these projects should have been staggered out. What would your plan be if elected in 60 seconds?
Yeah, so I think I talk about this all the time because, and actually Mayor-elect Helena Moreno has also said this. We saw that things can come together for the Super Bowl, and we need Super Bowl level coordination every single day at the city level and at the council district level. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to be the person that's bringing people together at the table, talking to Department of Public Works, talking to Sewage and Water Board, talking to the capital projects cabinet. And that's something that I want to see move forward. And the one thing I said about when City Services Coalition talked about the capital cabinet, I told Press Kavikoff that, you have one thing missing in here, and that's input from the city council district level members, because we are the ones that are on the ground hearing from our constituents, learning where the construction needs to happen, where potholes need to be filled. So we are the ones that have that voice and that are the voice of our community. So I'm going to be the one that's bringing everybody to the table to say, where are we on this project? We're going to have our own District A punch list. Where are we on this? Where are we on that? And then going forward, we're going to work with that capital projects to make sure that we're going forward, have that coordination.
All right, in 60 seconds, whoever is elected will be, for lack of a better term, a rookie or a newbie on the council. There are 4 veteran members. Can you work with those 4 veteran members to make sure there's not a lot of infighting and confusion on the council in 60 seconds?
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's been the biggest opportunity that I've had working so closely with Councilmember Giarrusso is that I've built relationships with all these current council members, including the council president, JP Morrell, who recently came out and endorsed me and said that he needs me on the council to help him and the rest of the council navigate through this budget crisis. And so I've built these relationships. I've worked hand in hand with all of these council members, working on the budget, working on other policy, and moving things forward. And that's the kind of relationships that they will have. So yes, I have already built those relationships, and they will continue with the help of Council President JP Morrell.
The same question, Ms. Friedman. I was talking about JP Morrell, Leslie Harris, Eugene Green, and Freddie King are going back, one of you all, and then obviously District E and the at-large member. But in 60 seconds, can you work with those 4 veteran members of the council?
Absolutely. I consider myself a relationship person. I think we work better when we collaborate, get along, speak to each other in a professional manner, and move things forward for the city. So I look forward to working with all the veteran council members. I look forward to working with the newbies as well. But I look forward to working with anyone at City Hall, including Mayor-elect Helena Moreno, to get things moving for the city of New Orleans. We cannot continue the fighting. We cannot continue being unprofessional. And we cannot continue to kind of be in our own, stake our own ground and not move forward. So yes, I look forward to working with them.
All right, 60 seconds. This question will start with you. Under a recent law change, the council now approves all major department heads. We saw the confusion and chaos dealing with the Cantrell administration, but whoever's elected will have to essentially green light the Moreno appointees. What kind of questions and scrutiny will you bring to the table during those hearings in 60 seconds?
Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity to be able to speak to someone, look at their resume, and get questions for the actual physical job they'll be doing. You know, for instance, like safety and permits. We need someone with real experience, safety and permits, zoning, land use, to be running that department. But we also need people with management experience as well. So we can't just have someone who knows one aspect of it. And I think being a council and being able to approve it, we have a great opportunity to do a real job interview. When I worked for Councilmember Giarrusso, Sewage and Water Board was looking for a new head of human resources. And I was honored enough that they asked me to be on the interview panel to interview the next person coming in. So I feel like I have that experience and know what we need, know what credentials someone brings to the job, what we're looking for to get it done, and how to make that a better fit for that job.
All right, same question in 60 seconds. If you are elected, you'll have scrutiny over these department hires by Mayor-elect Moreno. In 60 seconds, what kind of scrutiny and questioning will you bring to that process?
Yeah, absolutely, Travers. And I want to note that this is not a green light for any person that is coming on to be a department head. They are going to face questions from this council, and that is one of our most important jobs this time around and one of the most important opportunities we have to really turn the ship around. So I think right now what we've seen and what I've experienced in Councilmember Giarrusso's office is that there has not been a good rapport between council members and our department heads. That needs to stop first and center. So what I'm going to be doing is making sure that I'm building that relationship with these people and going through the interview process, not just making sure that they have the right experience going forward, but also I want to make sure that they have managed a significant amount of people before. I want to make sure that they are going to empower and motivate their employees to feel like a team, that feel like if you are a city employee, that you are not just a person, a cog in the wheel, that you are part of rebuilding the city and making us move forward. And so that's going to be my focus, is going to be making sure that this person can also get down in the trenches to make sure that they are working together.
One last question before we do closings here. It's going to go 30 seconds because I want to get it in. Sewage and Water Board has a new director. He is not from here. Councilman Giarrusso, who you all have both mentioned numerous times, was somewhat critical about bringing an outsider into such a big agency. In 30 seconds, what do you think of the new Sewage and Water Board director, Randy Heyman? Can he do the job in 30 seconds?
Well, I mean, he's very new to the job, so we've got to see how he can do it. I mean, Sewage and Water Board is a mess. They are improving on their billing, but we've got to make sure that they are actually held accountable for everything that they are responsible for, which now includes the drainage system. So we've really got to make sure, we've got to give him a chance, of course, but we've got to make sure that he's going to do the right thing for the city.
All right, same question in about 30 seconds, Ms. Friedman.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything negative about him. I want to fully support him and get behind him. I think he has a tough job. I don't think it has anything to do about being an outsider from New Orleans or not from New Orleans. I just think we need to do the best jobs possible. I think he has a great second in command in Steve Nelson. So I think he's off to a good start having Steve Nelson next to him. So I hope that I wish him all the best.
All right. I wish we could get to more questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so we are going to give you all a chance to make a closing statement. Since we started with you, Ms. Friedman, this time we'll start with you, Ms. McCarron.
Thank you again, Travers and WDSU, and thank you, District A. So I'm going to leave you with this. Our issues are solvable, but it's going to take electing a leader that has the right experience and understands the job of the council. It's someone that has the independence, the tenacity, and someone who will make things better by working together. I wouldn't be a 24/7 council member. And as Council President JP Morrell said, I'm the right person for this job because I have the budget experience and the independence to make us go through. So again, I'm asking for your vote on November 15th, and I'm number 35 on your ballot. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Friedman, you have 30 seconds to make a closing.
Thank you. I believe government should make our lives easier, not harder. I'm not a politician. I'm a constituent-focused, data-driven, take-action person. And I promise you this, I will show up, I will listen, and I will fix the problem. If you want a leadership style that is accessible, dependable, and transparent, I am your candidate. I'd be proud to earn your support, and I'm asking for your vote on November 15th. I'm Holly Friedman, running for City Council District A. Thank you.
All right. Holly Friedman, Amy McCarron, we do thank you all for participating in this. We think it's critically important for people to hear from both of you all. That's all the time that we have for the hot seat. I'm Travers